You want to play with my new toy? I'm not being gross. I'm talking about this thing.
I just said, yes, man, right away, anything.
All right, so this is the iGULU F1. iGULU is actually the sponsor of this video. So I have a liquor robot, but now I have what I've always wanted, a beer robot. Short and sweet, this is a tabletop home brewery. When I say it's a home brewery, I don't mean it's a Mr. Beer. It's not a beer kit. This thing, it's got a computer. It's got a cool ass digital display up here. In the back, it's got a SodaStream CO2 tank. I'll show you that later. And it ferments under pressure too. It's very exciting. So this is what I just made in here. And we're gonna get into that recipe here in a minute. I don't know how to explain how excited I am about this thing. Especially having tested it, it's great. The iGULU F1 is kind of the fire it and forget model. It's really dummy proof as far as brewing beer, but you can also do mead, you can do cider, you can do wine, you can make sparkling water if you wanted to for some reason. You can also put those mini kegs into it and it'll serve those under CO2 pressure so they won't spoil. It's a 1 gallon system. And you may think to yourself, well, that's not very much. Well, if it were more than that, it wouldn't be a tabletop system, now would it? So let's say you're new to home brewing. You've never done it before. Got you covered. These things are basically like MREs. You got your dry malt extracts, priming sugar, yeast, and then hop extracts. And all you do is you throw those into your fermentation vessel, and then you fill it up with water to the line, and put it in here, click on your 2 hoses, and then it's got this little RFID tag. You touch that to the side of the iGULU, right about where the G is. It's got an RFID reader. The type of beer that you are brewing pops up in the program here, and it just says brew, and you say, and that's it. And then you walk away from it for about a week or 2, depending on the recipe, and you got beer. Because when it's ready, the light turns green. It's orange if it's brewing, it's green if it's ready. They've got an app for your phone so you can track everything. And here's where we get to my experiment today. Let's say you want to do your own recipe. That's fine. Just brew up a 1 gallon batch on your stovetop. Do your mash schedule, your hop additions, all that. Strain it, cool it, and you throw it into the fermentation vessel for the iGULU. Add your yeast, put your CO2 line and your dispensing line on it. And there are preset ale and lager fermentation schedules in here, so it'll go through some stair steps of brewing at higher temperatures and then lower temperatures, especially when you're doing lagers, stuff like that. So here's mine. See down here where it says recipes? You're gonna click on that, and you just click the plus button and it takes you to a new recipe. So you can put in the name of your recipe, set in the different stages that you want to do. So we'll do 4 days, whatever temperature that is that I just clicked. That, and there's your first stage set. It's got a little plus button over here. Click that, you can put in more stages. So then you just click save, and when you're ready, you open your recipe up, it'll say brew, and then you click it, and that's pretty much it. And honestly, that is what appealed to me the most, because yeah, it's cool to have these packets. If you don't really want to worry about, buying the grain, milling it, doing a specific mash schedule, crafting anything special, these are good. From everything I've heard, they make good beer, and that's coming from brewers that I trust. But you know me, I usually have to fiddle with shit, so rather than just trying one of these for the very first time I actually touched this device, I had to come up with my own thing. So a couple months ago, we went to a family wedding, and these 2 awesome dudes that I got to meet, Brad and Maurice. By the way, they make some kick-ass shrimp and grits. Thank you, Brad and Maurice. They also introduced me to one of these. It's called Finnish Long Drink. Now, Long Drink is an old cocktail. It was basically like a citrus soda and gin. Well, some genius brewery put this into a can, and it is honestly, it's probably the best canned cocktail I've ever had in my life. And I've had quite a few of them. What I liked about it was that it had kind of gin flavoring and a citrus flavoring, and neither of them was like crazy overpowering. It was really well balanced. It was tasty. It didn't taste like it had real gin in it at all. In my mind, it was a hard seltzer with some gin flavorings and some citrus flavorings. So, see where I'm going with this? So I made a hard seltzer using my hard seltzer base, and I did that in a previous video, link right up here if you want to check it out. And I used all the gin botanicals from one of my other videos, link for that one right up here if you want to see it. The results are disappearing quickly, so let's get into it. Okay, so what I just did is I got all of my botanicals, the hard dry botanicals for the gin, went ahead and weighed them out, and on the juniper berries you want to take about half of them and crush them with your coriander, and then save the other half whole, because it's gonna give you two levels of flavor. Crushing them gives a resininess to your gins, and leaving them whole gives more of a piney, bright kind of note. And I want a mix of both, so split the difference. I'm going to put the recipe for all, and links for all these down in the video description. Some of them are hard to find, but most things are either on Olive Nation or Amazon. And then I got the zest from 3 lemons. Whenever something says zest, hang on, you want to meet the new puppy? Here's my dog. This is Lucy. Our other puppy dog passed away about a year ago. And this little young lady, somebody dumped her at a gas station. So we've been taking care of her and getting her all healthy. So for the lemons, if you don't have a microplane, you can't come up here. These are usually at your grocery store or Walmart. If not, if you can't find one, I'm going to put a link for Amazon. These are super cheap and they are crazy helpful for doing stuff like this. When you're doing these, you do not want the white pith. You only want the outer yellow zest. That's where all the oils are, that's where all the flavor is. The white pith on the inside, it's just bitter and it's gross and it's gonna ruin your shit. So now that we have our botanicals, we've got to infuse our liquid, our brewing liquid, with these botanicals. And the best way to do that is to make a sugar syrup. Now, we're going to make an inverted sugar syrup so that the yeast has an easier time breaking it down. If you don't know what that is, it's basically using a little bit of citric acid and about a 1/4 teaspoon. You mix that with your sugar and your water, and you boil it or simmer it for about 20 minutes. And what that does is it takes that sucrose molecule and breaks it down into fructose and glucose, which is easier to digest by the yeast. It causes less stress on the yeast, and consequently you get a lot cleaner flavor for your fermentation. So yeah, let's get that going. All right, so before we go any further, we're going to use some Star San to sanitize our fermentation vessel, the lid, and our hoses to make sure that everything is sanitary. You want anything that's going to come in contact with your fermentation to be absolutely clean. I'm just using about that much. Pour it straight into your container. And then we're just going to fill this with water. The good thing about Star San is that it's a no-rinse sanitizer that is designed to come in contact with food or beverages. But it goes inert pretty fast. So Star San, you don't have to rinse it off. So if you see foam in this fermenter when I'm ready to pour all my stuff in here, that's okay. Just shake this around. One thing you want to make sure, this is your pressure valve, this is your dispensing line, and this is your gas line. So we'll get to those in a minute. So while that's doing its thing, this is iGULU Premium, and it's also known as Master Mode. And what it does is allows you to, basically use all the features. So you can really get in and do all kinds of neat recipe designs and changes that you can't normally do with just kind of the presets that are in there. And it's really easy to install. So you hold it out to there, And it says upgrade to the premium. Yes. Place the RFID card again. Successfully upgraded. And then hit yes. This is an extra fee. I think these are $100 to get this feature, but to me it's well worth it if you're going to do your own recipes. So this is definitely something to think about. You can still have tons of fun with just the normal features, but when you need to go that extra mile, get the master mode card. So I'm gonna pop this open, put this down in a big ass bowl. There we go. So you got 2 marks on the side of your fermentation vessel. The gallon is where you want to end up. And when you're doing like one of these brew kits, it makes an allowance for you. Put in 116 ounces. That's just water, and then you put your ingredients in, and that usually brings you up to the 1 gallon spot. So since we're using our own brew kit, let's go ahead and get started. I've got some Fermaid K, and I'll put a link for this to Amazon. You use 1 gram of this per gallon. So I've got it all measured out here. Just gonna go ahead and get that in, see what we can do. And that is our steeped and inverted sugar syrup. And now I'm gonna get some filtered water out of the fridge, just because chlorine in your water or chloramine in your water can give you some off flavors. So if you have a filter, use it. Okay, so now we've got all of our liquid in there. Last thing we're gonna do, I'm using EC1118. This is a champagne yeast. It brews very cleanly, and it doesn't really have very much of its own flavor. You could really get away with just using a little bit. And we're just pouring a little bit on top. So we're gonna take our dip tube, make sure that's definitely got the sanitizer in it. Plug that onto your lid. Lid goes down. We got this little guy, this little clamper do. And all that's gonna do is hold that lid into place. That's it. There's no need to mix your yeast in or anything like that. It's gonna hydrate itself and just start working. All right, so we're just setting this down in here. And this is your gas hose. We're just gonna pop that on. And this is your serving hose. Now it's got a little, one of those little clip pinchers. You wanna go ahead and close that once you get this into place. Now to set this, all you gotta do is push your handle all the way forward and put the hose in there until it bottoms out. Pull it back. Snap it right into the middle port, and then pinch it closed. And then there's a little bar here. It's magnetized. It's got a little tooth on one end. The tooth goes up to the front. You'll see a little spot for it. Goes right in. Push your hose down. Put the lid on. Clean up our mess. All right, so before I activate it, I'm gonna go ahead and put on my CO2 bottle, just so it's in place and ready to go. Now, I just picked this up at the grocery store. It's like $31 or $32. And the only thing you wanna make sure of is that it's the threaded deal. So let me show you how that goes on. So you see this little valve? You wanna make sure that is in the off position. So that's closed. There's a little dust cap in here. Pull that guy off. Slide your tube down. And when you screw it on, it'll do like a little puff of gas, no big deal. It may. And then we open it, and that's that. Come over and check your dial here. Is it off of 0? Yes, it is. And just like that, we've got gas. The one thing you want to make sure of is that little orange switch. When you're going to change out your bottle or you're going to take your bottle off, swing it closed. Always make sure it's closed before you take bottles on and off. One other cool feature about this thing, let's say you are gonna have a party and you're gonna have several people over, or you're a heavy drinker and you can clear this thing out in one day. It's got a little air pump in it, so that as long as it's at the carbonation level that you want, you don't have to get a CO2 bottle. You can just turn on the air pump feature and it will pump out the beer, and there you go. But you can only do that for one day because oxygen spoils beer like that. So I changed up my hard seltzer recipe from what I showed you before, because the EC1118 is such a fast yeast and a clean yeast. I'm only doing 4 days at 75 degrees. And then I'm doing 1 day at 66. Now that 1 day, that's for clarifying. I'm actually gonna open this thing up and I'm gonna add gelatin. And that's gonna help it when we cold crash it the next day. It's gonna help all that yeast to settle down. Now 4 days may be a little too short. I may end up with way too much residual sugar in there. So once we're done fermenting and cold crashing and we serve it and we taste it, then I'm gonna know, oh, it has too much residual sugar, and so here's how you adjust the recipe, or it's gonna be perfect. I don't know. So stage 1, 4 days at 75, and I think that yeast will eat up most of that sugar. Then stage 2 is 66 degrees for 1 day. And so we'll add the gelatin, and then stage 3 is 3 days to cold crash down to 35 degrees. All I'm doing is selecting my hard seltzer, and I'm gonna hit brew. And drinking temperature is set at 42.8. And we're just gonna hit start. There we go. You saw the light change over here. Now it's fermenting. And the cool thing is, it's going to show me the stages of fermentation. So it's going to show me where the temperature's at and where the pressure's at the whole time. So anytime I want to check on this thing, I can. I'm very excited about that. Time travel. Alright, so you're going to heat up about a 1/4 cup of water with 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of plain gelatin powder. Then very, very carefully release the pressure on the fermentation vessel, disconnect the hoses, remove the retaining ring very carefully, making sure to keep that pressure relief valve open the entire time. Then remove the lid and pour in your gelatin water. Close it back up. Put the retaining ring back on. Put the fermentation vessel back into the iGULU. Reconnect your lines and close it up. Alright, so the light is green. You know what that means.
The light is green, crap is clean. Ghost is incarcerated here in our custom-made storage facility.
Alright, so before we taste anything, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreons. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and giving me feedback on all my posts and giving me some really great ideas. And as always, you guys are keeping my lights on. Thank you so much. Alright, before we serve, we've got to open our little spring clip. Wow, look at how clear that is. Okay, so my serving pressure might be a little bit high. Alright, so let's give this a shot. So far so good. I'm getting gin botanicals and the citrus, the lemon. Holy crap. Holy crap. Hang on a second. Yep. That is perfect. Holy Lord. That is so good. The gin botanicals and the citrus blend perfectly. You get a little bit of that juniper kind of going through. The citrus hits you right on the sides of your tongue, so it makes it's like juicy, you know? And there's a little bit of residual sweetness in there that I think really balances it. And I think the only thing I need to do is kind of dial down on my serving pressure. I think I've got it up around like 13 or 14. I should probably knock it down to like 8 or 9. But it's cold, it's crisp, it's refreshing, citrusy, a little bit of sweetness. That's dangerous. So I am really pleased with the iGULU F1. As much fiddling as I had to do with my own recipe, grinding all the spices and you know, getting the sugar syrup ready, it takes 5 minutes to make one of their beer kits. And so I'm looking forward to trying that out because it's literally just dump and go. But even though I had this extra stuff to do with mine, it was still super simple. And I was out of town for 3 or 4 days, so I was just obsessively checking the app to see the progress, like how is it going, you know, what's the pressure, what's the temperature. It was really cool. Honestly, I kind of think I like mine better. It's got a little bit more gin botanical, and I think the citrus in the long drink is grapefruit, which is not my favorite. It was very good, but it's not my favorite. So since we were making our own recipe, I tuned it to the way I wanted and put in lemon instead. Yep, that's delicious. So now you know my recipe stages. Let's say you want no residual sweetness. I would just go for like a 6 or a 7 day fermentation at in the 70s Fahrenheit and just let it finish all the way out. So yeah, if you're interested in the iGULU, check out the link down in the video description and make sure that you use this coupon code bearded20 because you're gonna get 20% off. Now they've got the F1 and they've also got the iGULU S1. The S1 is several $100s cheaper, but it doesn't have the internal CO2 regulator. You have to buy a separate CO2 regulator that actually you can run 3 machines off of it. It's got 3 ports. So check them out down in the video description or in the top comment. I highly recommend you check through all of the different beer kits that they do. And they've also got, like I said, a cider kit. And hopefully after this video, you'll start thinking about doing a hard seltzer kit too. All right, so I can highly recommend the iGULU F1. It is really cool, and it is definitely 100% a beer robot. I think the thing I like the best about it is that it's going to be really easy to do what I like to do, the 1 gallon experimental batches. And the fact that I can just stick them in there and forget about them, and I don't have to worry about bottling. I don't have to worry about getting a keg set up because I already have one. I'm ridiculously impressed with this thing. And, you know, I'm pretty impressed with my recipe. So I think that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor and hit the like button because it really helps out the channel, tells YouTube that you enjoy this kind of content, and helps them to go and recommend it to other people. And if you want to see what I'm going to do next time, and I promise it'll be something with distilling, hypothetically, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon right next to it so you can get notified when I post new content. And maybe one of these days I'll actually crack 100,000 subscribers. Based on the current math, it's going to be like 5 more years. If you have any questions about the iGULU, post them down in the comment section. I'm happy to answer any that I can, and if I don't know the answer, I'll just email them and ask. Again, the website link is down in the video description and in the top comment. Make sure you use this coupon code so that you can get that 20% off. All right, thanks for watching. Talk at you later.